Recording in progress.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight to talk about the dog park here in Canby. So my name is Sarah Wilson. I am a facilitator, strategic planner. I worked with the City Council this last winter. It was January, February, I believe, and we did some goal setting with the council. I work with lots of municipalities throughout the Pacific Northwest, as well as now things are virtual. You can work all over the place, so really across the country. I do, again, facilitation, strategic planning. Yes, thank you. And tonight we're here to facilitate a conversation around the dog park. So a couple things. We have a couple goals here in mind. And first is to just review the process, the site requirements, the draft concept map, and some amenity considerations. I know here tonight, let's just put it out there, not everybody's in favor of a dog park, and that's okay. That's how the democracy works, and so we're going to provide opportunities for people to provide input on both sides of the coin. It's not going to be like a public, like a city council meeting. This is a workshop, so there'll be opportunities to record your comments if you're not in favor. If you are, if you support seeing a dog park here in Canby at some point, there's going to be some breakout small group activities where you can talk through your hopes and desires for that. So just know that this is a workshop environment. It's not 3 minutes of testimony, because there's a lot of people here and we only have a couple hours, and so we need to try to make the most of our time and provide both wherever you stand on the issue an opportunity to share that input. So that's the second goal here, is to gather community input, no matter where you stand on the issue. And then at the end, we'll review the process and the next steps. And one of the next steps that you can anticipate, so where's your public comment going tonight? Where's your input going? There'll be a summary report that comes out of this effort, this workshop tonight, where we will document anything that happens in the small group breakouts, as well as any comments that are provided in opposition or just in comment of the process for tonight. So those are the goals. As far as the order of how we'll get there, right now we are here 6 o'clock doing our agenda overview. Then we're going to hear from staff just about the concept map, what's been proposed thus far. And then at 6:30, we will break for the input piece. So the small group brainstorming activity is going to happen in the room over just adjacent to the library. If there are too many people that head over to that part, we also have some space for overflow here in the lobby. For folks who want to leave other public comments, maybe just neutral, in opposition, whatever that may be, you'll stay in this room and we will gather those here. So at 7:15, so it's not secret what's happening in the small groups. We will do a report out, so we'll ask those small groups to come back in here and report what they came up with to the larger group and to those who may be tuning in virtually. And then at 7:40, we'll leave some time at the end to wrap it up, talk about next steps. We'll have, there'll be an opportunity to ask any final questions that you have just about the process. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can if there are a lot. And then at 8 o'clock, we will promptly adjourn. So that's our agenda. As far as getting there, a couple things that we need. First are some rules for success. So in these meetings, there's a lot of people that turned out tonight, and it says a lot about your community. You care about what happens here, and that's really important. And just says that Canby's probably a great, I live in Portland, but Canby's a great place because of people like you who care about what happens in the future. So in order for everybody to have a good experience in this meeting, no matter what your viewpoint is, I want to encourage civility and respect. So our first rule for success, and just want to kind of see a nodding around, that we can be civil and respectful of our neighbors, our fellow community members. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, all right. Is anybody not okay with that? I would talk to those guys in the uniforms back there, all right? So first rule is civility and respect to all participants. Also, if I make any spelling errors on these boards, to just politely correct me, okay? I do my best, but it is the end of the day. It's been a long one, so sometimes my hand can't keep up with my brain. All right, what other rules do we need for success? What would make for a good experience in tonight's meeting? Any suggestions from our wonderful audience here tonight? Our
Honesty and honesty.
Honesty, yeah. Honesty and transparency. I love it. All right. What else? What else do we need?
Focus on the timeline so it doesn't run over.
Yeah, everybody, I have a babysitter at home that needs to be relieved, so I have to leave at 8 o'clock, and so I want to be respectful to that person. I want to be respectful to all the things that you have going on this evening, and so yeah, can we all agree to stay on track? Okay. If we decide we need to veer from this agenda in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to check in with the group and make sure we're all in agreement before we make any changes. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
A commitment to open-mindedness and perhaps changing our minds about what we're living with here.
That's great. That is an excellent point to make, especially when you know that there's maybe some opposing viewpoints. So let's walk into this conversation in these exercises with some open-mindedness. Can everybody agree to do that? Yes? Okay. It could be a strain. I know, sometimes it's hard, right? All right, so open-mindedness. Okay, anything else? Yes, Joe.
How about patience?
Patience. Oh gosh, patience is definitely a virtue that we all strive for. Okay. Are we all right? Okay. Good. Everybody's got a seat. Okay. Patience. Can we all agree to try to tap into our reserve of patience? I tell my daughter when she gets frustrated, like, take a deep breath, right? So if you find yourself losing your patience, just a good couple deep cleansing breaths can help. Okay. All right, are we ready? Can we all agree to this? Rules for success. Oh, I got one more.
When I talk about open-mindedness, I mean the citizens versus the administration.
Okay, say more about that.
I want them to listen with an open ear and commit to possibly changing their position or their trajectory, be flexible with their plans.
So I want to we're going to get into this in process in a moment, but I just want to clarify a point. We talked about this when we were doing the council goal setting in their retreat as far as the roles of administration and policy. So the council sets the policy and makes the decision, and staff is here to support whatever direction the majority of the council provides. That's how local government works in Oregon and mostly all over the country. And so I want to be cautious in what we say staff is going to do. The result of tonight's exercise will go back to the council, and that is the next time they meet to make any decisions on this, then that's an opportunity to do like the traditional public testimony, the however many minutes of comment. I don't know what the rules are in Canby, but probably 2 to 3 minutes of public comment, and those are your decision makers. So tonight really is, again, kind of getting back to the core purpose here, is an opportunity to provide input. And we're gathering up all the input. It's kind of more like a brainstorming session, but there's no decisions being made here tonight. And staff, just to be clear, are not the decision makers. They work at the pleasure of the council and take direction from the council. Yes, sir.
I think the easiest way to have success is to put it before the voters of this city to determine what it is they want.
Okay, well, we're getting into already our public input on the process. So I want you to hold that comment tonight. This is the structure we have for the workshop to be able to gather everybody's ideas. And so if we could start with our first rule up here is just respectful of this process, because we have 2 hours and I can't put anything to a vote tonight. So I'm just here to, as your facilitator, to guide you through this agenda and honor that. All right, one more question, and then we're going to jump into the work here. Yes, sir, Greg.
The rules right here are something that our city council should follow, and we probably wouldn't be here.
Well, they'll be in the summary report, and I encourage you to put that in your comments if you so choose. All right. So I think we've got staff is going to share a little bit of information. And again, he's taken direction from city administration, and they've taken direction from the council. So he's going to present what's come up. So be nice to Ryan. Ryan's just doing his job here. All right, Ryan, take it away. You've got that microphone?
Yes, can everyone hear me? Okay. So I'm gonna give just a really brief summary of kind of how we got here, show the current concept for a dog park at this location, and then I'm going to just talk about a little bit of the constraints of this site that kind of define the path forward for this dog park. So what's up on the screen is the current concept that our consulting engineer and our public works team worked on together. And so going back a little bit, the concept of having a dog park in town has kind of circulated for a number of years. And
Is there a way to screen share that so Zoom can see it?
my understanding was that it was sharing.
Oh, okay. He said that they're not, for whatever reason, it's not. Sorry. Sorry, folks, it wasn't screen sharing for people on the internet.
In the Zoom world.
Sorry.
We have it.
Let me see here, because I have to share it on Zoom. Not yet.
Hold on, go back. I think I can maybe assist.
This is the one you're working out of?
I think this is the
Is that-
presentation view.
Those are the presenter notes. Well, we'll try it. And then you just got to hit the share. I don't know why the mouse isn't.
There you go. Yeah, this is the patience part.
Do you
Do we
know?
have it now?
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go back a little bit. So the idea of a dog park in town has circulated for a number of years. This particular site was first talked about in around 2011, 2012. There was a group that came together and kind of had a loose concept. Those plans kind of were dormant for a few years, and then last year, council directed staff to proceed with a dog park at this location. And so with that direction, our consulting engineer and our public works team worked on a concept for this location with a dog park. And so one of the defining factors that I'm going to highlight next is
Other questions?
We'll do questions at the end of staff's presentation.
so one of the parameters that kind of defines this site is it happens to be right at the edge of the city. So if you see this red line on the map, everything to the left and to the south is in the city limits. The main bulk of this site is city-owned, but outside the city and outside our urban growth boundary. And so that red line is our city limit and our urban growth boundary. Why that's important is generally cities are not intended to develop things outside their urban growth boundary. And so when city staff came back to this site as a location for a dog park, city staff determined that there were elements of the dog park that would have to go on the city side of the city limits. And so I just wanted to point that out, that the location that was discussed in 2011 and 2012 was that right 2/3 of the concept that you're looking at now. And so that left side is where the water, wastewater, electricity, parking, and most of the lighting and the potential restroom and dog washing station would all have to be on that side because it would be supplied with urban services. And then the other 2/3 that would be outside our boundary, which is allowed with the county zoning, would be the areas where the dogs could actually run. That would be the main point of the facility. And so for our discussions ahead, I know tonight we're talking about some amenity considerations, like what does the community what would we like to see in the dog park and how we would want it oriented. And that's just something to consider, is the more urban components of it would have to be on that left side. And that's right next to the driveway that goes out to our public works and wastewater treatment plant and the new satellite fire facility out there. And then to the south of the site is residential, and then beyond the dog park site is Willamette Wayside, which is an open space area. So again, staff were tasked with creating a concept for how the dog park could work at this location. Our public works team did put together some conceptual renderings. This is more just to see the scale. Obviously, there would be trees in the background in real life, but these are just a couple views of what it could look like. Obviously, anything shown here would be tempered by the discussions that go on tonight. Also, our public works team has chosen some examples to show you of bathrooms and shelters that they like to work with, that they think would be appropriate for this location. But again, that's something that could be a point of discussion as we get closer to having a final design. And so the next step of this, so staff have created this concept for a dog park, but one of the things that we wanted to discuss tonight is amenity considerations. Obviously, if you see the concept shown here, that larger green space is an active dog area. That would be where dogs could run more wildly and be a little more rambunctious, and then the smaller trapezoid shape is a shy dog area. And so that's one of our considerations is, do we want a shy dog area? Should it be bigger or smaller, or where it should go? We could also talk about shelters, either the size of them, the location, the number of shelters, bathrooms, materials, walking paths. Right now, it conceptually has a walking path around the perimeter. Agility features, things that dogs would actually use in the park. And then right now we are showing a washing station, but we obviously welcome comments on that as well. And then things that we haven't thought of. So that's one of the goals tonight, is kind of to talk about if we were to have a dog park, what kinds of things would we want to see in that? And obviously staff are dog park experts, and so we welcome comments on those items. And so that's really my presentation, and that was really meant to just give you a little bit of context and kind of explain some of the higher level parameters of developing a dog park on the site. I'll also mention, because half of it or part of it is in the unincorporated county, this project will have 2 sets of approvals. We would do a land use approval for the part that's in the city, and then the county would have to approve the section that's in the unincorporated county. We've already had a pre-application meeting with the county, and they've given us preliminary feedback that they see a path for this to be approved should the city council choose to proceed with the project.
Okay, so at this point, I recognize your question in the back. And so any questions that are specific to what Ryan presented? Hold on, there, you can go next, I have a hand in the back, and I'm gonna bring the microphone, or where's Ashley? I'm gonna pass this to Ashley so that everybody in the virtual audience can hear as well.
And I will note that we have a number of city staff here. I'm not an expert on every aspect of the concept that we've developed, so I may call up other people.
Hi, on what date did the city council approve proceeding with this site? And what councilors voted for and against it?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Archer. I'm the city administrator. I don't know the exact date, but it was the council officially asked staff to move forward and begin the preliminary planning efforts in December of last year, so 21. It was one of the council, it might have been the first council meeting in December. You can go back to the minutes on our website to look at how the vote happened, but I can just tell you that a majority of the council voted affirmatively to ask the staff to proceed to do so.
Thank you.
We have another question here. Just wondered the size of, what's the size, how many feet, acres? What's the size of the park?
The concept shown right now is, I believe it's 3.9 acres. Is that right, Jerry? Correct. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Other questions about the site? Yes, ma'am.
Who in the county could I talk to about whether or not they're going to approve this? If I wish to go to talk to them, to persuade them on their decision-making?
Well, at least for now, we haven't submitted an application, and so we won't be given a planner at the county that will be processing this application, because this has to go back to city council before they decide to absolutely that they want to move forward with us submitting. And then once we do that, then we'll know who our planner is at the county.
So, and we can, hang on the microphone. We can put this in the next steps as far as what the process entails. As with anything in government, it is a process, and so you can't oppose or speak in favor of something yet until it gets to that point in the process. And so what we can do to make sure that it's transparent and people know when to get involved and with what parties, we can try to outline a summary of what that looks like in the final report that comes out of this meeting. Okay, I see a couple other hands. You, sir, and then woman in the green shirt, and then you.
I have struggled in trying to find when and where things are being discussed in this city. Your website is not very helpful, and the citizens are left in the dark. How can we get information on when meetings are going to be held? When can we show up? Where can we show up? Please provide that.
First and third Wednesdays, and you're welcome anytime. We'd love to hear from you. First and third Wednesdays.
All right, we're gonna maintain the process here, and we're gonna move over to the. So let me borrow this microphone. Again, if you signed in and to tonight's discussion, and I believe there's contact information on that sheet, so if you didn't put your contact information, I would encourage you to leave an email address so that when the summary report comes out, that includes the next steps, that can be shared with you. So,
Okay, my question is, what is the size of the budget that you've been allocated to work with, or are you working with an open checkbook?
The current budget cycle that we're in, we allocated, and it was approved in our budget, $900,000 for the entire project. That doesn't mean that amount of money is going to be spent. Sometimes you over budget anticipating, sometimes you under budget if you miss, but that would include what was a year ago, our preliminary estimate based on the site that Ryan showed earlier and what we thought the park was going to project to be. So that included the full build-out of the park with all potential amenities, recognizing that some things might be changed, some things might go in, some might be taken out. So that's at full build-out. And then we also had to anticipate some additional funding for this site because it's on property that the city bought with wastewater funding, which is a restricted fund that's for sewer purposes. So this portion that's carved out of that property, the city would have to essentially reimburse itself out of the funding that would be coming from the dog park to pay back the water fund. It's just kind of an internal thing. So we've budgeted $900,000. The park estimate, the first estimate that we have that we're working on was $770,000, and we put a little bit extra in for unforeseen things. But again, all of that is subject to further input and further discussion and decision making.
We have this gentleman here in the blue shirt, and then.
So the location is a very large plot of land. Do you have something that shows this in relation to the entire property? So what we're looking at here is just a slice, and I think a lot of people use this land for walking their dogs currently, and certainly one of the concerns I think of a lot of citizens is what happens to the rest of the land that we're all accustomed to using.
We're gonna pull up a map. So while that's being pulled up, why don't we, because we have a couple minutes until we get to our input piece. So actually there was another,
Yeah.
there we go, yes.
My name's Joseph Lindsay. I'm the city attorney. I can answer that. So the Three Sisters property itself is 34 and a half acres, and it kind of goes up to the river like that. And it kind of goes almost over to the Willow Creek itself, but then Willow Creek cuts into it. So if you're at Territorial, this isn't even probably halfway to that Willow Creek, or the Willow Creek. So of that first bit of field between Redwood and Willow Creek, it's not even half. So if you can see right there, and Willow Creek is the trees. So it's just that little area. Because it's really only in the actual parcel that is the Three Sisters, it's only about 3 acres in that. Because 1 acre is the parking in that's in the city. So it's really 1/10 of that little. So, and that whole area over there on the other side of Willow Creek is the Fish Eddy property. And we promised the state when we took it that we can't build anything on it. It's only going to be trails. So everything else should pretty much be the same. The Public Works has a project eventually to do some stormwater so that there will be some waterways that kind of go into that field if we have a storm event. But other than that, it just takes up the
park right now where the trees are at.
it's basically where people park now is where the park's going to be. Yeah, Eco Park's on the other side of Redwood.
It's quite a way.
Hopefully that helps. Sorry to take up time too, because I know we're trying
Okay,
to.
so we have this comment and then that comment, and then we're gonna get into our public input discussion.
You were talking about amenities, but I'm not hearing anything about consideration of traffic control or weekly maintenance cleaning of the dog park. When does this become discussed in the planning?
We have engaged our consulting traffic engineer on doing a traffic study. I believe that's going to be finished soon. So if we proceed with this project, the traffic study would be part of the application, both for the county approval and the city approval. And then I'm forgetting the second part of your question, I'm sorry.
The maintenance.
Maintenance, Jerry, I don't know if the maintenance wouldn't be part of the project costs that the city administrator is talking about right now. It would be part of the city's ongoing maintenance that they do for all of our park locations.
My question is, we have this piece of property here. Has the city staff vetted any other properties that the city owns outright
in the community.
For purposes of a dog park.
Yes.
Okay.
For this particular effort, council directed staff to look at a dog park at this location specifically.
Was any other areas vetted from the staff of the city of Canby? That wasn't our charge.
So the staff is saying no other properties were vetted because that was, the council direction was to pursue this property. So at this time, just so everybody's clear on the process, no other properties have been fully analyzed for dog park usage. Okay? So I see another hand back there, but I want to keep us on track. So let me explain what the next piece of the exercise looks like, and then please come up to the front, and we'll do our best to answer any outstanding questions so that everybody can fully participate. Okay, thank you, Ryan and staff for answering those questions. So the next piece, we'll just leave this here for a minute. So the input component. So for those of you who want to, and some people may fall in both camps, and that's fine too. There's space to do both activities. So for folks in here who want to comment, just any general comment in opposition, if you don't want to go in and discuss dog park amenities and what a dog park concept could look like, you can stay in here, and I'm going to distribute some notes. You can have as many of these as you'd like to write down your comments. We're going to post them up on a board, and we'll make sure that it gets recorded into the summary. For those of you who want to talk about the dog park concept plan and talk about potential amenities and be a part of that exercise, we're going to kick that off over in the room just adjacent to, what's the name of that room? The Willamette room. And we've got different stations set up, so we'll try to group about 8 people or so in each small group, so you get to work with a small group. So there's a couple important things about that exercise if that's what you're going to choose to do. We have some sheets up on the wall. I don't want the city's beautiful wall space to get ruined in case a marker were to bleed through. So these are just going to sound like a teacher here for a second, but very important that we respect our property here. So there's some Post-its set around the room, and there's markers. So you can mark up those concept maps using the Post-its. There's also some larger ones. There's some other like blank pages in there if you want to sketch whatever. You've got all sorts of supplies in there. I encourage you to use whatever you'd like. If you want to mark up the concept map directly, just remove it from the wall and put it on your table, and you guys can mark it up to your heart's delight, okay? So that's that part of the process. And you'll have about 30 minutes in there with your small groups, but then the groups are going to come back here and share what they came up with so that everybody can hear and see, whether you're participating virtually, what the groups talked about. Once you get in that room, we'll have a sheet up on the wall, changing this up a little bit. We'll have a sheet up on the wall where we'll have those amenities listed that Ryan talked about in the presentation. And if you want to add any other amenities that you want considered as part of a future dog park, you can add it to that list. So that way the small groups can kind of see what other ideas are out there or what thoughts you might have about a dog park. So folks who want to stay and comment in this space, I will be in here with you. The other half of the group, or however many go in there, Ashley will help guide you through those activities, and that's how we're going to operate the public input so that everybody gets it. I know this might feel like, I have a lot to say, I want everybody to hear it, but this is not a public, this is a workshop. It's not public testimony, and I want everybody to have a chance to provide input. So there's no way with a group this size that you could do it otherwise in a 2-hour time frame. I saw a couple questions. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering, if you don't know which direction to go, you don't have a third place for that.
I would stay in here and let's talk about what your concerns are, and I'll try to, if you want to do both things, if you're like, I don't want a dog park right now, I want to express my opposition, start here, and then we'll convene a separate group out here in the lobby area where you can do both things. Okay? Yes, sir. Process question.
I think this is a real important question to consider. A lot of us don't have children, and dogs are a really important part of our lives. In fact, I think about 40% of Oregonians own a dog. And so as more and more houses go online, as more and more houses go online, there's fewer and fewer options on where to take your dog. And so when a community is growing like this, it's reasonable to have dog amenities.
Okay. So I want to try to steer from, let's focus on questions about the process. And then if we have time for additional comments at the end, I have a feeling some of those things are going to come out in the report out exercise. So, and we will also in the report out, just to be fair to all comments, anything, I'm going to be kind of monitoring the exercise happening in here in people's comments, and I'll try to extract whatever themes that we're seeing come up for maybe reasons why people oppose the dog park, maybe aren't sure about the process that's been going, that's currently underway, and so I'll try to capture the summary of that too.
We're 5 minutes past our time.
All right, last question.
Simple questions. I know
Yes.
a lot of folks are Zooming or YouTubing because they're, for whatever reason, can't be here. Is there any Zoom facility over there, or is it just gonna be a report out in here as to what goes on in the other room?
Yeah, in the small group exercise, that is the one disadvantage of you can't see or hear what's happening in the small group, so that's why the report out, we'll do it in here so that everybody in the audience, virtually and in this room, can hear it. So, all right. I don't think there's a comment feature on Zoom. Is there? No, we'll provide, if people have Zoomed in, we'll provide an email address at the end if people want to submit their comments to be a part of the record from tonight's meeting. So we'll make sure that anybody who's tuned in that way, that they have a way to submit their comments as well.
You can always just submit written comments to City Hall and make them all part of it.
Yeah, so we'll make sure people know how to do that if they're streaming virtually. Okay, all right, can I just kind of see a show of hands of those who are going to go to the Willamette room? All right. Ashley, if you want to kind of take that group that way, I'm going to hang a fresh sheet of paper in here and pass around some Post-it notes, and you guys can start capturing your comments, and then we'll get them all posted up here and try to decipher some themes that come out of here. Okay? Any questions? Yes. So these yellow papers, they're Post-it notes, so they have sticky stuff on the back. So just I will pass them around. Everybody can have a couple if you need more. I've got lots of them. There's no shortage. So I'll be passing around the notes and some pens, and we will get started.
We can't speak our comments, we have to write them down.
In order for everybody to get a chance to, we can have somebody from this group summarize what the comments that came up, but we would be here all night trying to, it's a workshop environment, it's not public testimony.
I'll just make another comment to that, and I think Sarah said this earlier, but just to reassure everybody, your comments that you're going to submit in writing, if you choose to, are going to be recorded as public input, just the same as verbal testimony would be. Sarah and her associate are going to summarize all of those. They're going to capture everything that we receive in terms of any kind of feedback tonight. That will be a public document that we can share out with anybody that put on their name on the list. It will be presented at some point fairly soon to our city council. So we're not just taking these and putting them in a box and sticking them. We're recording them, and we're creating a public document that will be shared out. So I just want to assure everyone that that's what's happening. Do you need that anymore?
No, I don't think so. So I'm going to just come around and pass these around, and we'll go from there.
Notes, can you raise your hand for me? You want notes to write on?
Hopefully they work, if not.
Anybody not get a pencil? Yeah, you're coming around, you're coming
Make sure we announce that at the end as well, but we're putting it up on the chat so that people can write it.
Does anybody else need supplies? Pen?
And paper, can I get this picture?
So it's hard to know when planning these things how many people are gonna go which direction. And somebody made a comment of, there's a lot of people in this room. So I think a way to have some more discussion in here versus you guys just writing your comments, what we can do is we're not gonna get through everybody to be able to talk, but we can have somebody share their comment. And if there's things in the same vein that fall within that theme of that comment, we can that'll help us group it together and decipher what the themes are from this room, from this conversation. Is everybody okay with that? Does that feel, okay.
Is there anything in the moment that I can do for you?
I'm gonna hand off you to go closer around.
Do you want us to put our name on these or just put them in?
That's a great question. It's optional.
That's it, it's up to you. Yeah.
Okay. Hello? Oh, there we are. All right. So I just had a question. People asked if you should put your name on them. And that's up to you. If there's a specific question that you want a response to on your form, I would encourage, we don't know who to get back to if you don't put your name on it. But if you signed in and you're good with the sign in and you just want to have your comment, you don't have to put your name. So totally optional. I would say let's just take 2 more minutes and then we'll start the report out in this room. Is everybody okay with that? 2 more minutes to kind of get your thoughts down on your Post-its, and then we'll start getting them up here.
You can always keep it right to the county planning if you have.
But they have a consul or something, something equivalent to the.
But I know that there were several times sent to the county already. Scott.
Over the county, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Email that people can also submit comments. So if anybody in this room wants to write any follow-up too, they would have that.
What is the email?
Yeah. Let me get that for you.
Okay.
Ryan, excuse me, as you guys are talking, she's going to write these comments.
Let's have that.
People in this room can have it. Yeah. Just give that to her. Ryan's going to get that for you.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
And then Gordon just gave me a second wireless mic, so if you're talking, I can try to help hand this around.
That's great.
She wants you guys to.
Okay, so looks like everybody's finishing up writing. So Ryan is grabbing an email address. So if anybody I'm going to put it up here. We've put it in the chat for those watching virtually. And so if anybody has comments either out in the Canby universe online that you want to submit, you can submit it to this email address for the record, that the summary report that will come out. Even tonight after you leave, and if you have additional comments you want to submit, you can email them to that address. So we'll have it here in just a moment. But let's go ahead and just hear from folks in this room. So the most efficient way to do this with this many people is we'll have a volunteer go first. If your comment is in the same kind of theme, you don't have to say the same thing. Say, yep, mine is, I agree with that. If there's something you want to add to it, but we don't need to repeat the same thing over and over and over again, because I don't know that that's the best use of everybody's time. So let's just kind of figure out what the themes are from this group as far as concerns, questions, opposition, wherever you fall, and we'll go from there. Greg is ready to volunteer and go. So Greg, kick us off.
Okay, I'd like...
We'll also take your Post-it after you
Sure.
your comments.
Is this on? Okay, I'll talk a little bit louder anyway. So anyway, I feel that the city staff should have guided the city council in vetting other properties instead of being stuck on one. Because what we're doing is we're shorting the people on the other side of the highway of a dog park, and we're just putting it on one side of town. I'm for a dog park, but not in that location. But it should be separated so somebody on that side of town doesn't have to come all the way over to this side of town to utilize the dog park. So 2 would have been good, 1 on each side of town, but not one like this. We're not catering to washing dogs. You take away business from the small businesses here in town. We don't need all that. Right now, those people are having fun out there walking their dogs and letting them go loose.
Okay, any other, we're going to maintain civility and respect to all participants. No, we don't need to applaud. Just, we can, if people agree, that's totally fine, but I've never seen applause lead to increased civility. So we're not at a concert, we're a public meeting, okay?
Thanks for using the microphone. We are trying to share this with people watching online and record the meeting, so thank you.
Number one, I appreciate having this meeting and being able to come and speak. So I am in favor of a dog park in the city of Canby. It is something that our community needs. I think the amenities list is a great place to start, and I think especially to have toilet facilities, walking paths, all of those kinds of things are important to people that are going to use the dog park. So amenities are critical for a dog park to be used and be successful. Without it, people aren't going to go there. The location selected already, to me, already serves the community and the dogs in the community. And I would urge us to look at other locations that could use improvement. One of the areas that I heard mentioned was the area near the skate park by the police department. To me, this is a youth area that could use more people that go there to maybe limit kids having too much fun, maybe. But I look at that area as an underused area. It already needs more facilities for the people that use it. If you go there on a weeknight, you'll see lots of people out there, and on the weekend, lots of people out there. There's a small, like, porta potty, nothing really for all the people that go there. So to me, if you combined with that area, I think it would be a good thing to
Can I
look
just
at.
capture what was the specific area that you're referencing?
I think they call it the pits or something.
The what?
It's called the Honda Pits.
The Honda pits? Okay, this gentleman right here in the blue coat.
Ashley?
Sarah, yes, it's okay.
Sarah, do you mind if you do hear repeats, maybe putting a check mark by it, just so people feel like,
Yeah.
if it's really weighted?
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Which, just how, if we were going to, so far there's a theme here as far as like that other property is not this location. So if we were to kind of call this the theme here, maybe not this location, but other properties. Can I just kind of see a show of hands, how many check marks I'm not gonna put all I'll just put a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27,
I can try it.
9, 30. I'm counting about 30. So about 30, okay. Okay, the gentleman here in the blue jacket? Nope, good, okay.
Question, it was a process kind of.
Okay, perfect.
Since somebody asked this question, in case anybody else had this, I guess our sign-in sheets either filled up or they momentarily disappeared. So if anybody wanted to get on that sign-in list, we'll make sure that it's available before you leave. So I think Joe Lindsay is out there getting that right now, just a process question.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we heard a little bit about vet other properties, not this location. Somebody even mentioned another one to consider. What other things, something new that we haven't heard yet? Yes, ma'am, in the purple jacket, and then up here, I got you next. Hold on, let's get a microphone.
I have 4 short sentences. I wonder if we're cutting down trees.
Okay. So.
That exist already in Echo Park and on the edge of it. I wonder where the funds are coming from. Is this taxes, SDCs, donations? Where's the money coming from?
Okay.
Will that county land need to be annexed? And when is the projected date when you will start digging up the ground and starting this park? I think you must have one.
Okay.
I agree with these
Thanks.
people that there should be another location on the south side of 99, maybe in the industrial park, plenty of room over there. And there is a heck of a lot of traffic that has developed in the last 10 or 15 years on territorial. And this plan was originally conceived in 2010, 2008, 2012. That neighborhood has changed entirely. And we are now living on a minor 99.
Okay, so a couple questions here. Are trees being cut? Where are the funds coming from? So far we heard there were some funds budgeted in the current budget cycle. Will county land be annexed? Not as of right now. And projected date, I don't think
I'll take a stab at that. This is projected start date of construction would all be based on Brian, in his presentation earlier, spoke about the planning processes that we're going through. We have to receive our approvals from the land use jurisdictions. One of those is the city, one is the county. Then we would proceed with basically putting our final bid packet together, bidding that out. That usually takes several weeks. And then the council has to be presented a bid to award to a contractor. That could take anywhere, depending on different factors and whether this information changes anything or not, could take the next probably couple months up to 3 or 4 months before we would be to that point. A little bit of that varies depending on our land use approvals.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Oh, sorry, traffic on territorial.
And the traffic part of it is, actually, Don, do you want to take a stab at that? Because we're doing a traffic analysis, and actually, Don Hardy is our planning director and is helping with that piece of it, so he can talk to that.
Thank you, Scott. If the council so decides to move forward with this, there would be a need for a traffic analysis for that to determine if the project is within acceptable levels of traffic which have been established by the city. So there would be a full analysis of that, which would deal with safety issues. The safety analysis would be about safety issues that's measured in 1 million vehicles entering an intersection. And we'll also be looking at level of service, which is the delay that people would have for going in and out of the site, as well as projections of traffic throughout the city that would go from that site down to 99. This is all part of the city system of looking at developments, and each time a development goes through, there actually is an evaluation of level of service standard. I know there's increased traffic in the city, and that's because the city is growing, but there also is a measure that needs to be looked at each time to see if it actually is within those parameters that would be reviewed as part of this. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, this is kind of going forward with the assumption that we're moving forward with this site, and that would be kind of part of why we're here tonight.
Okay, I see, I've got this hand, that hand, but this woman right here was first. Chris, go ahead.
So, here we go. My concerns are mostly around that the city, before anything like this is approved, can't talk with my hands, is that the maintenance budget be really committed to, because dogs will, raise hell on the grass. They'll run it. And so, but it can be maintained, but it's going to take really, and then the cleanup for dog poo, and the dog poo will collect parvo, fleas, etc. So it can't be just a passing, oh, it's a park. It really needs to be, the maintenance budget needs to be very much concerned. Also, my second thing is the legal budgeting for legal concerns, because there will be dog fights. That always happens. And then if a dog does become sick there and it's blamed on not cleaning up the poo, then the city's going to be getting it, right? Because there's always a percentage of lawsuits that happen. So that just needs to be considered in the budget rather than just only the construction.
Okay, does anybody else have concerns around the ongoing maintenance considerations, just so we can document that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, okay, 19. Again, not exact science, but just kind of.
If I could just address that really quick.
Please.
Thank you for that feedback. That's exactly what we would do. Is we're not just looking for development. If this is developed as we would do with any park or facility, we also create a maintenance plan for that. We don't have a dog park yet, a formal fenced dog park in Canby. This does create a little bit of a different level of challenges and services, and our parks maintenance group is already thinking of that. We've already anticipated that. So we wouldn't open this if we weren't prepared to take care of it, just so you know. And all those things that you listed are normal things in the process of managing a facility. So we'd be prepared for those things. Thank you.
Okay, the lady right here in the green shirt.
Okay, so first I want to say, I'm not against a dog park. I'm against $1 million dog park. I know you say 900,000, but that was, what, a year ago? It's going to be $1 million, probably. I have two questions. My first question is, why didn't the city council, since they're using the funds of the citizens of Canby, send out a vote on whether we all want $1 million dog park? No one has voted on it. There's not been a survey, there's not been a vote. It's just what the city council wants. The city council is supposed to be working for the citizens of Canby. My second thing is, why aren't we looking at items for our youth? Turf our fields. We have all these fields that, I mean, I could go on, but you know, we have youth in this community. They need things to do. Our fields need to be turfed. Why aren't we spending half of this money to turf some fields? Why aren't we looking at the youth in this community?
So just so you know, I'm capturing this because there may be some others who agree with this comment, so I'm just capturing it. How is this being prioritized against, you know, youth priorities as well? Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Okay. And then I have the vote. The vote one was a little more straightforward. So council send out a vote, a survey. So just, you know, just capturing public input on it. So others that are, let's do this one about the process here as far as like public input via a vote or survey. Who else has a similar comment? How many people are in this room? It would be easier to just subtract.
You're in charge, you can.
Okay, I'm gonna estimate this is about a 50 hand raise exercise. Okay. Okay, what about prioritization versus other amenities for youth? Okay, that looks like about a 40. And again, we'll have your actual comments in the post-its and recorded in the document. So this is just kind of for us to understand what the sentiment in the room. Okay, what haven't we heard yet? Sir, I saw your hand, and then the lady in the orange sweater over here, and then up front here, Lila. Okay.
Who first?
The gentleman in the blue coat.
I like dogs. I don't currently own one, but I have owned a half a dozen or more over the years. My concerns are this. I did a little research and I discovered that the city of Canby does not have a leash law. Currently, dogs can go anywhere they want within the city, including our city parks. They can run loose. The city has a wonderful list of parks in every neighborhood. The dogs can run loose closer to home without spending $1 million for a special facility. And I concur with the woman to my left. Our youth are our future, not our dogs.
Okay, thank you, sir. The woman over here in the orange sweater. Thank you.
Mike, over there. And while I'm going there, I will say this, even though we don't have a physical leash law in the city, we do have a verbal leash law, so you are supposed to keep your dog under control. And if you can't control it, please do leash it.
I would like to see a raise of hands or a vote on the not at this location, because that's one you haven't done. You said you did.
We talked about vet other properties, but we can say.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
The different than vet other properties, not this location, just not this location specifically.
Yes. But
Sure.
One of my main concerns is safety. The increased traffic on territorial, the National Parks and Recreation Association has created criteria for citing dog parks, and one of the criteria is not on a busy road. There's no argument that territorial is busy. We have now the fire station right on the road adjacent to that. I mean, if my family calls 911 and expects help, I don't want them to be delayed by somebody backing out or coming out of the dog parking lot, which is going to be in and out right on that same road. I also don't want people who, I have a dog, I love dogs, I'm a total dog person. I don't want to see somebody loading or unloading their dog and the fire engine siren goes and their dog bolts and they run after them. I mean, it's a safety disaster, this location. We already have a beautiful working dog park here. That piece of land is a treasure. It is part of what makes Canby Canby, and I don't want to see it changed at all. But I think that the criteria from the National Parks and Recreation Association needs to be considered, and I think safety definitely needs to be considered.
Okay, can we go ahead and do a show of hands on the just not this location? All right, good, that looks like a 50, okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to concur with the safety concern category down here? Okay. That looks like about 40. Okay, let's see. And then trying to keep track of where I was in my comments. Lady in the orange sweater, and it was, see the pink shirt. There was some, did I miss somebody over here? Yes, Lila, thank you. And then the lady in the pink shirt, thank you.
Thank you. I've been to a number of dog parks, and I have 2 small dogs myself. And this dog park in particular it was separated. One section for small dogs, another section for larger dogs, and which I thought great. And so when I noticed you had a shy dog section and a more active area, I don't know if it could be the same thing, but I think there's a difference. So I want to put my 2 cents in there. I had something else here too. And then I just had one quick question. It says, why do we not listen to the City Park Citizen Committee? They recommend not this location.
Okay, so question, why the Parks Advisory?
Oh, good, I hope she does, because I can't remember what I was going to say.
I think, I don't know that we could necessarily answer that. That's probably one for the city council, but I documented it as a question. Thank you. I see your hand, and we're going to hear from the lady in the pink shirt back here, and then come bring the mic up here.
Can you understand me?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering who is this being purchased from? Who is the seller?
On the property?
Yeah.
The city owns this property, correct? Who's this property being purchased from?
The city owns the property outright.
Oh, so it's just the development that's going to cost us much?
The city already owns all of the property that we're talking about.
Because I know people were saying other properties, why don't you consider other properties that are already paid for and owned? So is it equal or what?
I think we answered that question.
I think this property is owned by the city. There could be other properties that the city owns that potentially could be vetted. There could be properties that the city doesn't own that could potentially be vetted. But again, that would come, the reason this one was vetted was because this was at council direction.
And the other people want to see vetted stuff that's inside the urban growth boundary. That's maybe a lot of concern.
Okay, all right. Let's bring it back in. Okay, sir in the blue shirt.
I've got one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more question.
It seems like impossible, like almost impossible, like you can't fight City Hall to slow down the process at all. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people feel, is this just like, it's a done deal, we can't do anything, because each step of the process gets further along and harder to fight against it. And so I'm just wondering, like these people that say, I think we should have a vote of all the people, or listen to what the parks people recommend. There should be more happening than just what's happening now.
Okay, so I'm gonna just connect a couple dots here. So there's kind of this category of just concerns with the process, and there's a couple things that go into this. So I'm hearing the Parks Commission, or the Parks Committee, the vote was another one. Where'd that go? This one. That's kind of a process question. And then also just the vetting of properties. I think that's another kind of process question. So I'm just gonna, when you see in the summary report, I'll kind of regroup those under process-related type questions. All right.
Yes, I went to a Planning Commission meeting a year or so ago for a new subdivision that was to be built on Territorial and Locust, 80 houses, and then they added another 13. And at that time, a person in the audience who lived in the subdivision next to this, existing subdivision, said that there is a 2-acre parcel on the corner of 22nd and Locust that was for a park. And they never put the park in, and they asked the developer of this new subdivision if he would create a park there, and he said yes, he would do it, but the city told him they wouldn't approve it because they don't have the funding to maintain this 2-acre park for approximately 200 houses. So I'm just really surprised to see all of a sudden all of this.
Okay, other comments?
Would you like to call on it, or Tyler Frank?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, maybe a process question or a suggestion. I don't want to derail what you have planned, Sarah, but so great to hear, see so many people out talking about this. And I think I hear from a lot of people that they support a dog park, not at this cost. There's a lot of concerns about the cost. Would it be, I think, a helpful data point maybe, would it be possible to put some cost up here and kind of get a temperature reading from folks about what they think a dog park should cost or what they would support? Is that?
So that's a great suggestion and question. I don't think we have enough data yet. So one of the next steps is that we're going to hear from the other group in just a moment of some concepts that they thought of in their their brainstorming session. We'll capture a summary of what happened here, and the next step is that staff's going to take that back and assign some cost estimates to some different concepts that came up. So that is going to happen. I don't know that we have enough time to take that poll in here and how we would decide what the thresholds would be. So. Let's kind of let the thresholds be driven by whatever this group came up with, and then I think there'll be some more public process. So with that, we've got about 2 minutes left to take probably one more question or comment. And I see your hand, but I've called on you multiple times. I want to hear from somebody we haven't heard from yet.
I don't know what this gentleman had to say about funding.
So I'm going to hear from this lady first, and then if we have time, we'll hear the comment about funding.
Oh, Melanie.
My question would be that I imagine that back in 2011 and 2013, in development of the master plan where this was considered, there was a public process, probably, right? Do you recall? So most master plans have a public process, but I would imagine that it's been in the master plan since 2013, and maybe then we as the public haven't really been checked in with or consulted since that time. And I'm just wondering if it would be a good opportunity for the city council to, given this feedback, to take that time to check the pulse and to check in and see if things have changed since 2013. That's my comment.
Sarah, can I respond?
Thank you.
Sarah, can I respond to this one?
Yeah, please.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So we actually just finished a couple months ago the comprehensive update to our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. That was about a year-long process. And so we do have a newly adopted Parks and Recreation master plan. That was something that had a lot of heavy involvement from the community. I will say, so a dog park, like some of the other priorities that people mentioned, was something that rose to the top 5 or 6 items that people said that they wanted. But that was more in a general sense and not a park at this location necessarily.
Okay, so it's, again, I promised that we would stay on schedule, so we're only a minute behind. So it's 7:15. We're going to hear some report outs from the groups, and we've got 30 minutes allocated for this. So Ashley, how many small groups did we have? So that we're just one. Oh, well, that makes it easy. So we can hear from the group, and then we can do a summary of this conversation. Perfect. Is everybody okay with that? All right. We've been talking a lot in this room. So let's hear we haven't heard what's been going on the other side of the room. So let's hear from this group first, and then we can summarize. And just out of fairness, we could call on volunteers from the room. Do you guys have one? Yeah, we have this gentleman right now. Okay, great. All right. And then I feel, just in fairness, let's get a volunteer from this room who can present the themes that we talked about in here. Any volunteers from this conversation? All right, Greg will do a summary of our conversation. After, we're gonna hear from this group first. Okay, I'm gonna hand you this microphone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We had a nice group, and first of all, we wanted to say that we think the city and the public works have put a lot of good thought into this, and we think this is a good location for the dog park. We like the idea of having 2 distinct areas, a shy dog area for the smaller dogs and the larger dog area for the bigger dogs. We were in favor of the shelter in a number of locations. We were in favor of secure bathrooms. And the surface materials around the perimeter, obviously, concrete would be our preferred choice, but asphalt would also be adequate as long as it wouldn't be too hot on the dog's feet. Possibly some shade trees could help with that. We like the idea of walking paths, agility features for the dogs in the various play areas. We like very much the idea of washing stations, entering the park, being able to the dog to get a drink of water and get cleaned up before and after. Jerry from Public Works talked about the interior surface of the play areas. It would be grass, and they would maintain that. Let's see here. We're as far as the surface around the park, because the city would be maintaining this, we were very comfortable with the city's input and recommendation on what materials they think are best and most cost-effective. We had some input on trees that are not too tall along Territorial, so if you're driving by, you can see in the park. There's big emphasis on, we like the idea of bathrooms, which can also benefit walkers, people that go to Eco Park, but we were very important that they be secure and have secure locks on them. Let's see. So overall, those were our thoughts. Does anyone else in our group have anything to add? Okay, that's what we have.
All right, great job. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks to that group. Okay. Oh, yes. All ADA, all amenities ADA accessible. Okay, thank you. All right, Greg, you're up to present our themes from this conversation.
Okay. Our group came together with some specific areas that they were concerned with. one of them was the system didn't go through like it should have, this process, because they didn't look at other properties throughout Canby. No properties that the city staff was involved in vetted any other properties that the city owns. I think they kicked the people out of that process and left us out. So I don't think a lot of these people, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm for it.
Wait, we have to just
Okay.
stick to the themes. Stick with the themes. Thank you.
The theme is, they're not against dog park. They're against the location, and probably would like to have them in different locations, possibly two, to cater to one side of town and the other side of town. Funding is another thing that they're afraid of, and I'm concerned with, is we really don't know how much this is going to cost. This money that came up, the price of $900,000 that they budgeted for, is not going to be a true amount due to the fact that that was a year ago or so, and with the prices of supplies that have gone up since then, it could be over. And there's other things that are going to come up that they haven't figured in yet. So anyway, we're there with that. They're already talking about a projection date, and there's no process that we were involved in as a community. They told us about it, and they ran with it. We do have legal concerns, liabilities. I don't know what the city's, if they're okay with that. There's going to be dog bites. There's going to be germs. There could be some that spread. We didn't get a report from the Veterinary Society of the state of Oregon. We haven't heard that yet. And so somebody brings their dogs there and they're not, they don't have their vaccinations, and somebody else's dog gets sick and dies. So that's a city thing. Somebody else brought up about we're spending the money in an area that we should be considering youth in our community due to the fact that we have nothing for them. It would be something that the city council would focus on the community instead of a dog park. We can do a dog park anytime, but not for $1 million.
Greg, I'm going to rein it in a little bit. You're adding a little commentary that didn't.
All righty, and so I'm still talking. Thank you.
Keep it true.
And we're just saying that this is not the right location. Safety, traffic, fire department, city trucks going in and out. That's a major concern. Then we have a four-way stop sign, or three-way stop sign that's going to be going in. Four-way stop sign is going to be going in. So there's going to be a lot more traffic bottled up there throughout the day. So is there anything else that I forgot, Kara?
Any other major themes? Yes.
Hi.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Is there any way that we could get like a quick recap of everything else that was talked about with less comments?
Yeah, let me just, do you mind if I just run through it really quick?
I feel like there were some great comments that were not
Yeah,
set on because we went.
Yeah, so there were, there's a lot of conversation about, Greg touched on this, vetting other properties. Just a large majority of the group, just not this location. The current location, there's some comments around that, current location's already serving dogs. Is there somewhere else? And a couple things were mentioned around the Honda pits or some south side of 99. We captured a couple questions down here. So just, are trees being cut? Where are the funds coming from? We talked about what was already budgeted. Will county land be annexed? We answered that, no, not for this location. The projected date, and I think more to come on that. And then the why of the part, then there were several process questions, just concerns with process. So these red arrows kind of indicate some process comments that came up about the Parks Committee recommendation and why was, what happened with the consideration there. The vetting of other properties, and then how is this being prioritized against youth priorities? And there was also some conversation around maybe even other priorities. So how is a dog park being weighed against other things? Let's see, what else? There was a question or comment about there's no leash law, no formal leash law, and that dogs can run loose without a $1 million facility. There was a question about this distinction between, is it shy dogs or small dogs? Those are two different things. And then active dogs versus large dogs. There's a big difference in how these are being categorized. And so some more thought probably needs to go into that. And then there was a question about the master plan public process, or there was a comment that, that the public hasn't been consulted since, but then staff did mention that there was an update to the master plan, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that was just recently adopted, and that a dog park, location not specified, did rise to, like in the top 5 or 6 items in the list from that planning process. But again, location not specified as part of that.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
So, and just because you weren't here, the number next to these are how many people voted that's how they felt. So
Roughly, by a rough show of hands and my ability to count the show of hands. Okay. And one other thing that I don't think we touched on yet, but we did have quite a bit of conversation around it, was just the maintenance, the ongoing maintenance cost needs consideration, and so that was we had some conversation there. All right, group, did I miss anything between my recap and Greg's? Yes, sir.
The comment that I made regarding the leash.
Yes, I mentioned that.
No, you did not mention it the way I stated it. I said that dogs can run loose in any park in this city which is closer to the neighborhoods where those dogs live.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. All right. So those are now you kind of have a general understanding of where both groups stand. So if you did not submit your Post-it note, the group that was in here in the council chambers, if we don't have that collected, please make sure you leave it with us so that we can get that captured into the report. Yes, and I'm about to mention that. So the other, this was put in the chat online. It's also down here. If you want to send in additional comments, yes, please take a picture of this. It's a great idea to remember, or write it down. So just public comments at canbyoregon.gov. So public comments at canbyoregon.gov. And if you submit them, we'll say, today is Wednesday. So by Monday, we'll make sure that we get those captured in the summary report. So please send those in somewhere in your subject line, indicate that it's regarding the dog park workshop. And that way we can make sure that those get into the summary report. So please send those by the end of the day on Monday. Not your final opportunity to comment on a dog park, certainly, but so it can be part of this record, that would be great.
Can I say something maybe encouraging, which is a lot of people in here, and I know there was a lot of focus on these concerns, but you might also consider public comments as a way to also say, hey, I don't think we need that many shelters, or yeah, we do need, because we really would like your input no matter where it goes, right? And so the whole idea is this became, for this room, a little bit more about not liking the process, and I get that, but if you still want to be a part of adding to the input for amenities and what you think, because we're really not you, and so we would like to hear from people who are concerned about a dog park, what they would like to see in one, and feel free to highlight around it, I don't want it here, I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear, but we would still like to know what you would like in a dog park, because we still do want to serve you guys. So.
Okay, so just a process call here. It's 7:28, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule. I see your hand. I'll get to your question in just a moment, but just want to let you all know this will both sides will be documented. We also talked about just the next steps in the process. We'll make sure that's included in the report. Any other comments that are received online, and the summary report, it'll take us probably a couple weeks to get that put together, but when it is completed, we'll make sure that if you didn't sign in already and you want to make sure that you're on that distribution list, to please leave your contact information on the sign-in sheet outside, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of that. All right, I see a hand here, and then the pink shirt, and then yes, sir.
My question is, I'm assuming people who own dogs are taking them somewhere to run around. Where are those places and how do they rate them? You know, a great place, an icky place, you know, how would you rate those sites that people are making use of currently?
Ashley, will you capture just somewhere on the Post-its, just other questions that come up? Thank you. So we can just put those in there. We'll make sure that these additional questions get noted in the report. Yes, ma'am, the lady in the pink shirt.
Yeah, I would like, one person asked, one lady back here asked who voted for this location and who didn't, and we got a vague response saying it was such and such date last December, but we don't really know. There was a majority, obviously there had to be a majority. Could we please get the names of each person? Could somebody who knows here, knows their names?
Sure, we can put that in the background information of the report. We'll go ahead and note that date and note that detail information. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. My wife and I own 2 little dogs. We take them on walks every morning, and so we're very familiar with all the parks around town that you can take the dogs. Waite Park, Maple Street Park off 13th and Berg Parkway. And most of the days of the week, if you drive by this particular location, a good many people are already using that as a dog park to walk their dogs. And so the demand is clearly there, and as more and more development is taking place around this community, there's more and more people moving in that have dogs. As I said, I think about 40% of Oregonians own dogs. And so we need places to take our dogs, safe places to walk the dogs. And I think that the demand is there, and clearly with the growing community, to have an identified dog park. And I think given the limitations of this site for other things, I think this is a good location, in my opinion.
All right. Well, we'll take just a few more comments, and then since we've kind of worked our way through the process, I want to kind of talk about, from staff's perspectives, next steps. And I saw one other hand.
Thank you. I'm Council President Tracy Hensley, and I heard a question asked more than once tonight. And I, for one, am not going to hide behind a vote, and I will just let you know I voted to oppose this plan, and I'm a dog owner.
There was one other. Yes, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify that I didn't see a single person in this room oppose a dog park. I'm a dog person. I think most of the people in this room are dog people. We have a dog. We walk him daily. The people that walk dogs off leash and the people that go to fenced dog parks are 2 different groups of people, and both groups need to be served. Canby's big enough, and we are compassionate enough that both groups should be served.
Okay, so let's hear from staff on just some of the next steps as far as when the council might address this topic again.
So the next, we have a little bit of an interesting issue with timing, which is our normal next council meeting would be the first Wednesday in October, but that is canceled. And the next meeting then will be October 19th, I think, is the 3rd Wednesday. Thank you. The reason that the meeting is canceled in October is our council is all representing the city at the League of Oregon Cities annual conference. This is a normal, regular thing. It just happened to fall on our normal council meeting week. So the next meeting that the council will have is 10/19. I would anticipate, the mayor sets the agenda, but I would anticipate that we would add this as an update item to the council agenda and report out on this meeting. Sarah and her team are going to provide us a written summary and meeting information that took place tonight. So again, this is one of the most important pieces I want to acknowledge is everything tonight that you've provided in written or verbal testimony we're capturing that will be provided as a summary document to the council. So that will be the next opportunity. The direction that staff is currently acting upon is that we are still proceeding as planned. What that means is that we are still moving forward on the planning process. I think it's been mentioned a few times. There are some land use issues. We're still waiting for some information from the county. We're waiting for some traffic information that Don Hardy mentioned a little while ago for some of you that were in this room, some that weren't. That was one of the things we talked about. So there are still some things that are in motion that we're collecting data and information that would lead to a formal decision.
And
So,
just
yes.
one other thing, based on some of the commentary tonight, there will be some options with some cost estimates presented, right?
Thank you. That was, I was about to get to that one too. So the other thing that the council did ask us for, and tonight is helping to inform that as well, is I think a few people in this room even mentioned if we could put some numbers up on the board or something, but we weren't prepared to do that tonight. We are bringing forward at the council's request, and it also sounds like it was something that a lot of people were interested here, an updated cost estimate, and then an itemized list of that. So these are the specific items that are in the park, and these are how much they cost. Some of those might look like option A or B, so 2 different types of material, 1 shelter or 2 shelter, things like that. I'm just kind of using examples that would be presented, and then that would actually lead to, I think I made a comment when there was a budget question in this room earlier that we have set a budget for the project, but that was just an estimate based on what we knew at the time. That is prone to fluctuate or change depending on whether things are removed that were on the original list or items. Again, this is very informative information that we're receiving, like what types of things would be in or not in the dog park. So we will be presenting also, and these are public meetings. Somebody asked about accessing the information. We'll share out this report, but the council meetings are first and third Wednesdays, except for October, not the first Wednesday, but normally first and third Wednesday. They're broadcast, televised, and they're in this room if people want to participate. And I would, again, anticipate that this will be discussed at our next council meeting. Anything else you can think of that we should mention, or?
I think
That's kind of where we're at
all
for
of the next
now.
steps, but I just want to, again, kind of getting back to the original goal, to have a productive conversation. And I just want to see a show of hands on a scale of 1 to 5. So I'll ask 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 being, I feel really heard in this process. It gave me a chance to express my input. And 1 saying, 1 ranking saying just no, I don't feel heard after tonight at all. So I just kind of want to gauge where the group is. So if you're a 5 and you feel like no matter where you stood on the side of the issue, you feel like you were able to express that viewpoint tonight, just show of hands. Anybody at a 5? All right, a couple 5s. What about a 4? Kind of heard. Okay. What about a 3? All right. What about a 2? And what about a 1? Okay. So a range, probably still some work to do, but I do want to just offer my gratitude for sticking with the rules. I feel like we got to have some good conversation, even though everybody's not in agreement. It's nice these days to know that civility does still exist, where we can have conversations and express ourselves freely, and hopefully come to a good outcome that works best for the community. We're all I heard somebody just say it, and then multiple times expressed tonight, making sure that everybody's needs are met. So thank you for that.
I don't know if you're open to, there's still, I think I'm seeing at least one person raising their hand. I don't know if you want to take any more questions. I know you're wrapping up.
Yeah, who has any final questions? Just a show of hands. Just one?
Not a question.
Comment? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Use this.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late. I'm Barry Johnson. I'm the chairman of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. And just the one comment that I have granddaughters that I had to take care of. So the one comment that I wanted to make is that our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, we just met and we voted 7-1 against the location that council is proposing on Territorial Road. Our problem is we're not opposed to the dog park. We've asked that we vet these locations and look at other locations and do a cost comparison. Just like you were going to buy anything else, we need to do a cost comparison and look at, let the numbers shake out, okay? We just really need to, that's what we've always asked for. And basically, that's about it.
Thank you. No applause till the end where we're applauding for everybody and just being participants. All right, that was a good clarifying comment from, because that had come up during the process questions here around the Parks Committee. All right, with that, we've gone through our agenda, and you guys are going to get out early. If anybody wants to hang around and continue talking about dog park stuff, we welcome that. The room here is open till 8 o'clock. And again, I thank you all for your participation. If you want to send more comments, grab a photo or write down this email address. Thank you so much.